Today we're jumping into a really incredible story. It comes from a homily a priest, Father Blair, gave to a bunch of college students. And it's all about this collision between two worlds that could not be more different. The philosophy of the fiercely atheistic Ayn Rand and the core teachings of the Catholic Church. It's a story about how these two forces clashed in one man's life and led to a place, well, a place no one could have ever seen coming.
So let's start right here. This is the famous oath from Ayn Rand's biggest novel, Atlas Shrugged. And, it really is the perfect summary of her entire philosophy. It's all about radical, absolute self-interest. It's basically a declaration of independence for the individual's soul.
Okay, but here's the twist. This is where it gets wild. The homily that this explainer is all about reveals that this exact philosophy, a philosophy designed to put the self above all else, was actually a key ingredient in a future priest's journey to God. I mean, how on earth does that happen? Let's get into it.
To really wrap our heads around this paradox, we've got to first understand just how opposed these two ways of seeing the world really are.
So in this homily, Father Blair just drops this bombshell on his audience of college kids. He tells them that a book by Ayn Rand, a woman he calls an intellectual persecutor of the faith, was one of the most influential books he'd ever picked up.
But, and this is the absolute key, the impact it had was the total opposite of what she wanted. He explains that reading her work was actually a strange but really important part of his journey, a step that, believe it or not, pushed him toward his conversion.
All right, so to see how her ideas could backfire like that, we need to rewind the clock to a specific moment when these two worldviews went head-to-head on the public stage.
The year is 1967. Pope Paul VI puts out this major teaching called an encyclical, and in it he warns against what he calls soul-stifling materialism. Well, Ayn Rand's response was, let's just say, not subtle. She immediately fired back with an essay of her own, Requiem for Man, to attack the Pope's ideas directly.
So what was her whole deal? What was she defending so fiercely? The homily breaks it down using her own words. Her philosophy, objectivism, sees man as a heroic being. His own happiness is his moral purpose, his greatest activity is productive achievement, and the only thing he should trust, his only absolute, is reason.
And this, right here, just lays out the conflict perfectly. The Church is saying, look, if all you do is chase material things, you can't grow as a person. Rand is saying, no, being productive is the noblest thing we can do. The Pope warns about greed. Rand sees that as just a hatred for human joy. I mean, there is just no middle ground here.
And believe me, Ayn Rand did not hold back. She saw the Pope's message as a full-on attack on reason, on freedom, and on capitalism, the very system she believed made human greatness possible. For her, it was like going backward in time, back to an age of superstition.
But from the Pope's perspective, the problem wasn't achievement. It was making greed, or avarice, as he puts it, your ultimate goal. He called it a form of stultified moral development, which is a powerful way of saying that it just stops you from becoming the person you are meant to be.
Now, it's important to get this right, and the homily points this out. When Rand used the word selfishness, she didn't mean being a cruel person who walks all over others. She meant irrational selfishness. It was about following reason, working hard, earning your own self-worth, and dealing with others by trading value for value. In her view, victimizing other people is actually irrational and not in your own best interest.
So, with that huge philosophical divide laid out, let's get back to Father Blair's story and what happened when he stumbled into her world.
So he describes himself at this point in his life as just indifferent to God. He wasn't an atheist, he wasn't a believer, he just didn't care. As he puts it, his entire philosophy was, I believed in me.
So with that as his personal operating system, he picks up Atlas Shrugged. And while he's reading this defense of radical self-interest, something incredible happens.
It just clicked. He wasn't just reading about some abstract theory or fictional character. He was reading a perfect description of his own life.
But it wasn't a good feeling. He says in the homily that this moment of recognition actually horrified him, because when he saw his own life philosophy spelled out so clearly on the page, he had this gut feeling, this deep down knowledge that this wasn't how human life was supposed to be.
And he's very clear. This wasn't some sudden miraculous conversion with angels singing. He calls it a great awakening, sure, but it was more like a course correction. It was the thing that finally got him to start seriously searching for truth and for what it really means to be a human being.
And this intensely personal moment leads him right to the central challenge that he puts to those college students, and to us.
His argument is pretty blunt. You can't have it both ways. The worldview of Ayn Rand and the worldview presented by Jesus Christ are, in his words, extreme opposites. There is no comfortable middle ground you can just hang out in.
So he turns it into a direct question for everyone listening. At the end of the day, which philosophy is actually running your life? Are you living by a code of self-interest, or are you actually trying to live by the teachings of Jesus? It's a challenge to look at what you do, not just what you say.
And he offers these questions to help make it real. Ask yourself, do you see your relationships as transactions? Are you basically just being a nice guy on the outside because it benefits you on the inside? It's a call to get really honest about the operating system that's running in the background of your life.
And that's where the homily lands. The final message is a call to be consistent. For anyone who claims to be a person of faith, the challenge is to untangle these two opposing views in your own mind and commit to one. You can't really live an objectivist life from Monday to Friday and then switch to a Christian life on Sunday morning. A choice has to be made. And so, this whole unlikely journey leaves us with one last pretty penetrating question. Forget what we say we believe. When we look at how we actually live, day in and day out, which worldview is really calling the shots?